Hi everyone, I'm Aisha Nash. My pronouns are she, her. This will be a body positive flow. I am based in London, land of the colonizer. My pronouns are she, her, and really let yourself in this practice listen to your body. It's that is the theme of today's session. This idea of trusting in your body and trusting its messages and trusting everything that it tells you. There's so much in this world around us that can take away from that idea. So for the next 40 minutes or so, let yourself let yourself really listen into that body of yours. It is incredibly wise. Let yourself come to sit. You can sit like this. You can sit on your sofa. You can sit with your legs out in front of you. And if sitting is not your thing today, you can stand or you can lie down. And as you sit in a space, I invite you to notice how you are right now. See what comes up. When I sit like this, the first thing that always happens is I notice that I am breathing. I notice that there is a heartbeat going off here. I notice almost immediately there's pins and needles in my feet. And I notice what it's like to rest my weight on the earth. And as you stay here, I'd like you to be aware of the same things. What is your breathing today? Where can you connect with that breath today? Sometimes you might feel it around the chest, you might feel it in the stomach, you might feel it around the nose, you might also feel it elsewhere, somewhere around the back. And as you notice that breath somewhere in amongst your body, gently let your head fall to one side. Your hands can get involved if they want to, they don't have to. In that place of noticing, adding a simple sensation can make it a little bit easier to focus. You might notice that as your head is to one side, it might want to move elsewhere, and you might make a face. Maybe the chin wants to curl in. Maybe the head wants to face towards the armpit. And then maybe the head wants to hang back a little and see what that feels like. Gently, we'll use a hand to be kind to the head and bring it back to center. And then when you feel up to it, the head will go to the other direction. And it's the same game of noticing. Noticing how that pulling in the neck might affect your breath, your breathing. Noticing what it does to your heart rate. And then let yourself play again. Where would moving my head, what would moving my head forward feel like? What would that do? What would letting my head hang back, how would that feel? What would it give? What would it do? And then with that air of kindness, let's gently bring that head back to center. Okay, from here, we're going to come into cat cow. I'm going to do it on my palms and my knees. You can do it against a wall. You can do it seated simply by moving the spine. You can do it in any iteration that works for how your body is feeling right now. If you are coming onto your palms and your knees, make it more comfortable. So often we walk through the world being told that we take up too much space. So when we get on our yoga mat, even when no one can see us at all, we still have this air of being fearful of taking up space. So let your hands be wider, let your knees be wider. Then as you inhale, you'll just hang. Your head will lift, your tailbone will arch back. Your belly might drop down towards the ground or forwards if you're seated. And as you exhale, you'll round the spine up to the sky. And we'll go between those two. Inhaling and exhaling. When you get to that exhale, really round your whole spine as though you're doing your best impression of an angry, hissing cat. Your hands might not like this. You might come up onto fists. Today, my wrists are not the greatest fan of this, so I'm going to rest into my fingers on the block. And you might discover that as you're moving, as you're going through the kind of cat-cow spinal motions, that you want to move in other ways. My body wants to have a little circular motion. Yours might do that. Yours might also decide that you want bigger movements. So you might take your cat-cow from this and this into slightly more exaggerated motions, going all the way back from almost a child's pose to like a really bad version of upward facing dog. Taking your time to ease into and wake up all those little parts of your body that we kind of ignore until they get a little too loud. Taking maybe one or two more breaths of movement here. Beautiful. From here, your hands might just be like, I'm tired now. In which case, you're going to rest yourself back into some form of a seat. And we're going to take the hands the other way. So they were like this. We're going to rest onto the backs of our fingers. And then if it feels okay, we might bring a little bit of the back of the palms down. Be really slow and really soft and really delicate here. Elbows are bent. And you might go between those two, being soft and kind. Noticing once again the breath, the heart rate, the body's reaction. And then we'll let the hands come out of that. And we might take the fingertips round so that they splay outwards instead of forwards. The elbows are bent again and are really soft, and you might have a little rock. And then you might, if it feels okay, work those fingertips back in towards you a little. Elbows really soft again, body really soft, exploring. And then slowly coming out of that, You'll either bring yourself into all fours or you'll bring yourself into downward facing dog, or you'll bring yourself into downward facing dog on a chair or against a wall. Chair is slightly better. So you're either here and you're stretching into the legs, seeing how they move, seeing how they feel today, or you're in your all fours, stretching one leg back at a time, seeing how it feels. I think my wrists can do a downward dog now. Once you're there, you're going to have a little wriggle, a little softness, a little ease. And from here, let's walk the hands back so that we end up in a forward fold somewhere at the back of your mat. Quite often, when we're guided to do a forward fold, we kind of automatically straighten our legs and bring everything together. For here, let it be really soft. Move your thighs enough so that there's space for your belly. Some of you might rest your elbows on your thighs. Some of you might let your whole body just kind of flop. And it's this idea of really letting the weight of the head drop and letting that weight pull on each and every vertebra. You can do this in your seat by folding over the legs, making space again for the belly, letting the head be heavy. By now, my thighs are a little tired of this position. Yours might be too, and we'll slowly roll it up. Coming to stand near the back of your mat. Coming to sit near the back of your mat if you're seated. And noticing the way that the earth has you. The way that you can let the body rest into the support of the earth. And let's take that the other way. You might choose this time as you breathe in, you might choose to take the arms really long and really tall up towards the sky. And then as you breathe out, you're gonna flop forwards. Let the feet be wide, let the body be soft. Let the legs support you. And then we'll walk it forwards into our downward dog or our all fours. And from either position, you're going to carefully, lovingly guide your right foot forwards. Mine always needs a lot of support together. Once your right foot is forwards, your left knee is either lifted or it's down. I've taken my hands on blocks because it feels nicer for me to get an upright feeling. You might be on fingertips or fists. And then we're rocking our weight forwards and back. linking this movement to that cat-cow of earlier. So as you come forwards, you kind of drop the belly a little, the chest will rise, you'll breathe in, and as you breathe out, the leg might straighten a little and you might round over. Going between those two, adjusting when you need. Staying still when your body asks for it, and moving and flowing when your body wants to. And then you might take a moment at that back position. Your back toes might tuck under to support you a little, having this idea of really rounding over that front leg. You can't see it in my jumpsuit, but try, no matter how far back you go, to keep your knee just a little bit bent. Rounding that spine. Trusting in your body and trusting in the ground to hold your body. All right, from here, come on to the front sole of the foot. Take your time, be really soft and really delicate with it. And then walk your right foot as far out as the edge of your mat. If your mat is a really slim one, you might want to walk it a little bit further out. You're going to feel as though you're dropping the front of that left hip slightly down towards the ground. Your right hand might come onto your right thigh and you might have a little twisted lunge, a little kind of, I never know the real name for it. I kind of just view it as like letting it wing out to the side. You might take this into a twist, bringing your right hand up towards the sky. If you wish to flow, if you wish to move with your breath, as you inhale, you can take that right hand up. And as you exhale, you can bring it back down towards the ground. And you might take that 3 or 4 times if you want to, if that's working for you today. All right, from here, my loves, we will slowly, ever so slowly, take ourselves back, bringing that right leg back in towards the body. You might, from here, take yourself through that larger cat-cow. You might take yourself to a downward dog and a plank. You might have whatever wriggles you need. You might have a rest back and seated. Taking one more breath to move in a way that serves your body. From here, let's gently take that towards the other side, coming back either into your downward dog or your all fours. Carefully, kindly guiding your left foot forwards. It might sweep all the way, it might need some help. We love it regardless. And we'll have a moment to feel around. Try and meet your body where it was last time. One of my favorite teachers in the whole world says that, you know, the right side and the left side of a body feel like they belong on different people. And then from here, you might take yourself into the moving back and forth, the rounding of the spine as you move back, the flaring of the chest forward as you move forwards, exhaling back, inhaling forwards. Seeing what comes up on this side. How does your right knee feel on the earth? Or with no support? How does your left knee feel moving back and forth? How do your hands feel on this side? From here, let's rock all the way back. Your back toes might tuck under to support you. Letting yourself round the spine, letting the head be heavy. That leg, even while it's long, is still slightly bent. We notice what's happening at the back of that thigh, what's happening through the calf. Okay, from here, let's slowly, carefully, kindly come forwards. Walk your left foot out as wide as it can go on your mat, as wide as feels okay and comfortable in your body. You might let the knee wing out a little, letting your left hand rest there. You might take your left hand up towards the sky. You might move with your breath, exhaling to bring the hand down, inhaling to raise the hand. Taking that maybe once or twice more. From here, carefully, kindly bringing yourself back to a kneeling position. And from your kneeling position, either staying in your all fours or coming up to your downward dog, having a little rock. From that downward dog, let the knees drop down, let them be wide. Exhale, let your whole body come as close to the ground as it can. It might need some support. The knees are really wide. As you next inhale, come to sit upright. Bring the hands behind you and puff the chest up. It might be here. It might lift up. And then as you exhale, take yourself back to your downward dog or your all fours. Take another inhale here. Exhale, drop the knees. Drop yourself down. Inhale, lifting up. Sending the heart up towards the sky. Maybe the thighs follow. Let's take that twice more. Exhaling up. Taking another inhale. Exhaling down. And inhaling. Last one. Coming into downward dog or all fours. Taking another moment to feel the hands and the legs supporting you. Drop it down, drop it back. And then let the heart come all the way up towards the sky. Okay, from here, coming back into our all fours. Let's slowly and kindly lower ourselves down towards the ground. Coming to lay as close to the ground as you can for today. And once you're there, see what it feels like to lift up the legs. And then that might be quite hard and quite tough. And you might stay there. Some of you might play with lifting your arms. And then we'll drop everything back down. We might make a pillow for our head with our hands, having a little wiggle of our hips. And then from here, we might take that again. We might take it again and we might add more. We might stay. So some of you might lift your legs. Some of you might lift your arms. Some of you might lift your head and your chest. And it's all simply about going as far as works for you. And then dropping everything down, letting everything be soft. For the last one of this, some of you might lift your legs, some of you might lift your arms, some of you might lift your torso. Some of you that might want more movement, you might bend your knees and reach back for your feet, lifting up as much as you want. Some of you might go, no, I don't want to do any of that. And you're just going to stay a little bit longer laying on your belly. You might take one more breath in whichever lifted back bend position you are in today. And then you'll gently let your whole body come back down to the earth. Letting the hips have a nice little wriggle. And then bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Let's take ourselves all the way back into our all fours position. Once you're in your all fours, see if it feels steady, if it feels okay. If it does, you'll start to bring your right foot forwards again. I'm going to take my blocks underneath my hands because my arms aren't that long. You can stay here, or you can choose to untuck that back knee and see how it feels today to let the feet support. You might choose to bring the hands up, bringing them to the hips, bringing them to the heart. You might choose to adjust and to wriggle. Noticing what's happened to that breath. Noticing what's happened to the heart rate. You might take the hands all the way up. You might keep them here. You might keep them really low to the ground. Taking one more breath in this forward lunge position. And then we're going to pivot on the toes. Coming into a wide-legged position. Both sets of toes facing in the same direction. And then maybe they just move a little bit outwards from each other. The knees are really soft. And you have a choice here. You can come all the way upright. See how that feels in your body. Or you can let yourself stay here. Staying a little bit closer towards the ground. Noticing what it feels like in those legs and those thighs to support you. Building that trust between the fronts of your feet, the back of your feet, the whole of your body, and your legs. And then let's gently pivot the feet back to that lunge position, taking the hands back to near the front of the mat, bringing your knee down, taking your right leg back, either taking a rest here or taking a moment for any other movement that your body might need. Fantastic. Coming back onto either your all fours or your downward dog. And then gently, carefully working that left foot as far forwards as feels okay for you. Maybe the knee stays down, maybe the knee lifts. Maybe you land in a lunge and you give yourself time to Find your space in your body. Maybe you come upright. Maybe the hands come on the heart. Maybe the hands come all the way up towards the sky. My hands want support today. And we notice what it's like to rest again into the support of the feet, the knee, the ground. From here, gently pivot on the toes and mostly straighten the legs. You'll pivot so that both sets of toes are facing the same direction and then they might face out a little. We'll have that softness again in the knees, that softness in the elbows. And you might either fold forwards or you might stay upright. Noticing on this side, how does the weight feel in the feet? How do the toes feel? How do the heels feel? Gently, we'll walk ourselves forward again to the inside of that left foot. We'll lower the right knee. We'll take the left knee back. From here, take your time to slowly, carefully, and kindly come to lay on your back or lay on a bed. We'll come to our Shavasana in a minute. First, we'll take a couple of twists. So once you're on your back, let your knees bend. Your arms might come out really wide. If you've got the space, you might cactus the arms. Then we'll lift the feet up just a little and we'll let the knees fall wherever feels okay for them. You might notice as your knees fall to one side, they might need support, they might need a pillow, they might need a blanket, they might need a block or two. From here, take a big breath in, really inflate that belly and sigh it out. Gently, carefully, and kindly bring those knees up to center. Lift the feet up and then let the knees fall over towards the other side. It might feel incredibly different on this side. You might need more or less support. If your body feels like it needs less support, take more support to match what you did on the other side. Take a really big inhale in and a sigh out. Gently bring the knees back to center. And from here, let's come to our Shavasana. You're going to come to any position that feels like you can rest in it. That may be lying down on your back. That might be laying on your bed. That might be seated on a sofa. It can really be anything that lets you feel any sense of letting your weight be held by the earth. And as you find your way into that position, take a really big breath in and sigh it out. And as you rest here, see if you can get closer to the earth. If any parts of your feet are in contact with a support, see if the weight of your feet can rest more into that support. If any part of your leg is in touch with the earth or support, see if you can hold less of your own weight and instead let the earth support that weight. If any of your back or your torso or your upper body is in contact with any support or the earth, see if it can rest that little bit more. Lastly, letting the weight of your head rest that little bit more in any way that it can. Letting yourself rest. You have done enough. Slowly. Some of you might choose to stay there resting. Some of you might choose to gently awaken your body. Your breath might deepen. You might wiggle the extremities. If you are seated, if you are lying, see if you can come to a position where you can hug your body a little. That might be knees to chest if you're lying. If you're seated on the ground, it might be hugging the knees in. If you're seated on a chair, it might be rolling over the legs and hugging them. And then you might come to any upright position, gently and kindly, in a way that works for you, maybe rolling to a side, maybe rocking and coming up. And bringing the hand to the heart. And taking a moment here to be really grateful for your body in all that it can do. Taking a moment to be endlessly grateful for this practice of yoga and all that it gives us and all that it teaches us, all the ways that it connects us. And I thank you dearly for being here. Thank you.